to admit something that a lot of parents do not want to admit, and it is that I hate parenthood sometimes. This is the hardest transition, the hardest time I've ever had in my life, and also the most backlash I have ever had about opening up about my issues. And I think there's just something messed up about society. Just something fucked up, and there's something wrong with our notion and how like we have to say, yeah, your baby is a bundle of joy and everything else sucks. While we are here, I might as well ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. I'm going to list out what parenthood consists of. Spending a lot of money on kids, spending a lot of time with your kids, doing kid stuff. That shit is boring. Watching the same cartoons over and over and over. I mean, I love Bluey, but oh my god, listening to the same song over and over and over. Watching out for your kids so they don't die. That is so anxiety inducing, exhausting, always worried that they will end up dying anyways. Even slight pain to them hurts you like a bus hitting you. When you love someone so much that your heart is in that other person, that is the most vulnerable position you will ever be in. No one ever really talks about that. They don't talk about how painful the love actually is. They all talk about how joyous it is, and I'm like, but a lot of it's more painful than joy. Your relationship with your spouse is pretty much gone, and there's more fighting, less sex, and more irritability. There's less time, money, effort that you can spend on yourself, let alone have fun or rest. You're more stressed out because you have way more responsibilities now. You're a parent now. Like, you gotta take care of your kid. You gotta wake up every time your kid wakes up. You gotta be with your kid every time they're sick. Mom guilt sucks. If you know, like, basically mom guilt for anything. Being not perfect, basically. You gotta be thin. You gotta breastfeed. You gotta not breastfeed. You gotta do organic. You gotta not care so much. You gotta helicopter parent. You gotta be hands-off parent. There's like infinite amounts of reasons that people will call social services on you, let alone reasons that you already feel guilty that you're not enough. I wanna be a dad. I think if I was gonna be a parent, I wish I was a dad. So much less guilt for anything you do. Even like the things that are really great for your kid, helping your kid cope, allowing them to cry, allowing them to be angry, and allowing them to have these negative feelings that you are not used to allowing yourself to have. It's just so much to be a parent. So the issue is that we're all suffocating from parenthood shame. It's kind of unrealistic to think that parents would be happy all the time and all they do is feel joy, joy, joy. In every other sphere of life, work, love, school, weather, neighbors, coworkers, bosses, pets, everything else in life is fair game. You could totally complain about everything else under the sun. But when you say one thing about parenthood, people shut you down. I should know because I love to talk about parenthood and how painful it can be for me. The standard to be a mom is just redonkulous. Like, I mean, you just have to be perfect to be a mom. We all believe that the standard is realistic and obtainable, and so we feel a lot of shame when we don't have the perfect family life, have the perfect child, be the perfect mom. The first group is non-parents because they don't understand, they don't have this role where they're parents. So they're very sensitive when you talk about your children. Not that you're talking shit about your children, but you're talking shit about how hard it is to raise a child. Because I think these non-parents feel what the child feels and they don't want to feel guilty for their existence. I think that's what's going on. And then there's two groups of moms. There's the ones you can talk to about the hardships of parenthood. The other group where you can't talk about how hard parenthood is. I think when I first became a mom, that was really hard for me because I thought every mom should understand the struggle, especially like the newborn phase, that transition into parenthood. It's all so crazy. But when I talked to this specific type of mom that like was like, oh my god, like how can you have any problems with parenthood? It's all beautiful. It's like, why does it feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone? When I talk to some of these parents, they're like, it's all joy. I'm tired, but I'm happy. I'm like, how can you be tired and happy all the time? Like when I'm tired, I'm such a bitch. I get really tangry. There's a word for hungry, tired, but there's not a word for tired, angry. Tangry. So angry. Those moms are also really sad, and what they're feeling is shame, and like they have to hide, and they have to hide their true face, and they have to hide their pain, and they have to look presentable all the time. Their children have to be presentable, and they're supposed to be perfect, and their children are supposed to be perfect. And so when you go ahead and talk about how imperfect you are, and they just want to shame you for it. And that was really hard for me to understand when I became a mom. Like, the millennial I am. What I do at night, always at night, it's always at night. I would go on Reddit and just search the painful thing I'm thinking of. Like, why is it so hard to be a mom? Or I just miss sleeping. Or I hate being a mom. Or I hate having children. I read people's rant about how hard parenthood is because I want to feel connected to someone. I want to feel not alone. When I read comments down below, I want to feel like everyone else is like celebrating the fact that that person's being vulnerable, being courageous, like killing it, and also maybe commenting saying like, I feel you, I'm there, I do not like this either. But that's not what I get all the time. A lot of the comments would be, you need to figure that shit out because someday your kid will know that you hate your kid and they will be all fucked up for it. Okay, it's like the saddest comment because that really brings me so much pain. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Because moms already feel so guilty. They feel they're not doing enough already. They don't want to feel sad about parenthood. They want to feel joy too. Why don't you think we would want to be happy? It's kind of like telling a depressed person, you need to be happy. You think a depressed person doesn't want to be happy? Of course they want to be happy, but they're going through something. Life is really hard right now. And I think that's the same with these parents, being vulnerable to say, life is really hard right now. I'm not having the best time. This is actually pretty difficult for me. And to tell someone that's vulnerable enough to say that they're sad, they just are having a lot of pain right now, to tell them that their kid is gonna be fucked up because the parent is not happy is just fucked up. I hope people who watch this feel a little bit more compassion for parents that are struggling, and I hope they're nicer online. I'm so sorry about the construction. Nothing I can do. There's electricity problems all summer, and like, I hate SoCal Edison. I hate that we only have one option for our electricity because they don't do a good job. They just put a band-aid on the electricity problem all the time, and then we always, especially in summer, blackout, brownout, blackout, and that's not great, especially with a toddler. Thank you, SoCal Edison. You guys suck. This is some like emotional intelligence 101 here. Just because you don't enjoy parts of parenthood, because there's like literally nothing to enjoy, doesn't mean you hate your kid. Hating parenthood is not the same as hating your kid. Why does that mean that? Okay, hating the stuff that you need to do to be a good parent and still doing those stuff, I could drive off and never come back and never see my kid or my husband or whatever again. Why do I stay and go through this misery that is parenthood? Why? I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my kid. I'm doing it because I love my kid. I do the stuff I hate to do because I love my kid. It's actually the opposite. You hate parenthood so much. Wow, that means you really love your kid. What happened is that emotionally unintelligent people it's not their fault that they're emotionally unintelligent. It's not like they teach you this in school. Sometimes people that feel pain about parenthood blame their kid. Obviously, that's not really their kid's fault. It's not like they want to be born. It's not like they chose to be here on earth to make you miserable. They're not doing it to attack you. It's just that parenthood is a miserable thing. Raising a kid is infinitely harder than Hollywood has made us believe it's supposed to be. And billions of people have done it with a lot of love and care. I mean, you can only do this if you love the person you're doing it for. So then these parents believe that if you hate parenthood, you're blaming your kid for the fact that you hate parenthood. But that's not really true. You're just saying you hate parenthood and I do all this work because I love my kid.
One is the queen. One doesn't like being the queen, but one does it anyway.
Or that's how I feel about parenthood. I feel like I do all this work because I love my kid. But it's still work. It's not like it's fun, you know? The fact that I'm complaining about parenthood means that I love my kid. Last time, my aunt was telling me that she hadn't slept because she was just reminiscing about how she was raising my cousins, and she was saying that she didn't sleep for 13 years. Her telling me that, you know what I told her? I said, you must really love your kids. To not sleep for 13 years means you really love your kids. When a mom or dad is complaining. They're just saying they love their kids so much they're gonna do the shit that is miserable, makes them miserable. But they do it out of love. I hope this can help you really understand where you're coming from and the feelings you feel. Okay, so here are some reasons why I think it's actually quite healthy for you to complain or acknowledge the fact that you're having problems being a parent. Being able to express and acknowledge and accept your shadow side is so healthy. To be like, hey, sometimes I feel hungry, tired, horny, you know? What else produces lots of shame? Oh, sad, mad, irritable. That is just a part of life. We cannot just pretend that we're happy all the time, and we shouldn't have to. That's actually why I'm not on social media, because I used to try to be an IG model and I was like, this shit is one, not meaningful work. No offense. I'm sure it might be meaningful for some people, but it's not meaningful work for me. And number two, it felt so fake. I would go to all of these locations just to take pictures and I wouldn't enjoy the location. And then number three, it kind of makes your life look edited and like filtered and like beautiful when your life is messy and not always beautiful and not real. It just didn't feel authentic to my soul, so I stopped that. But I also stopped using social media in general. I would suggest you lay off it, or at least like be on it less too, because it's not really great for you. What happens is it comes on slowly, like you don't even know it's coming on. But what happens is that you eventually believe that everyone's life is better than yours. When that's not true. Everyone's life is just as miserable as yours. Everyone has pain. The richest people have pain, the poorest people have pain. And I think social media makes you believe the opposite. Like they're doing it better and we're doing it wrong because there's something wrong with us. And no. We're all doing it wrong, but that is kind of the equation of life. It's not your fault you're doing it wrong. Everyone's doing it wrong. It's not even that you're doing it wrong because you're a bad person. You're just doing it wrong because you're human and you don't have all the information and you make mistakes and you're hungry, horny, tired. You know, your shadow side. So grace. We gotta give ourselves more grace. When you acknowledge a problem, you can solve a problem. If you pretend there's no fighting at home, then are you going to help your kids figure out how to fight better? No, you're not. Oh, let me tell you, I have a journaling app called Day One. It's amazing. I've been using it since Roy was born because I needed to start journaling because life is sad. You can create your own templates, and one of my templates for journaling that I think has been so clutch to my life. The template goes, name one thing that bummed you out today and that you want to acknowledge and process. So basically, I find a problem. The second thing is name one thing that will bring you a little bit more joy into your life. And then I put in parentheses, problem solve the issue from above. And that has been so helpful. Just like thinking about one thing a day that I can change about my life so my reality becomes less painful than what it is. It's so great to process your emotions and like talk about the problems you have and vent and just put it on paper. It's so healthy because it gets it out of your head, actually acknowledging it and then saying, and now what can I do? And now what can I do? It's just like game changer. I think I'm a better mom, I'm a better person, I'm a better human because I can, one, acknowledge my pain, two, try to find ways to ease my suffering. First one I would say is to find a group. I created a mom group, which is a non-profit stay-at-home mom group called Mom's Group. It has been so helpful just being able to see someone on a weekly basis and like talk to them about our problems and find solutions and just be compassionate and I also use Peanut. Peanut is a great service that you can see lots of moms and hang out with them and their child, and that has been really helpful too. Therapy would help. To be honest. Look, you might think therapy is a little indulgent, if not for only crazy people. I'm a little crazy. Fuck it. I don't fucking care. Do you think as a child, you don't think that your parents needed therapy? Do you think if your parents got therapy that you thought that was a little indulgent of them? No. So it's the same thing with your kid. If you think that you're taking this hour away from your kid and you're not gonna be with them, but you're doing it to be in therapy, you think your kid won't be grateful that you were in therapy in the first place? Another tip I would highly recommend reading Kristen Neff's book on self-compassion. Audible is great because you can listen to your book, and that was game changer. It's getting so hot. You know what? I have to change locations anyways, so let's do that. This is a dumb camera change. This isn't even how I usually eat delectable things. You don't get ab from chewing on delectable things. No, you get ab from putting it on your tongue and letting it sit in your mouth. And I know that having abs does not make me happy. It doesn't even fucking matter. But you know, I'm a woman as well. and I spend a lot of time caring about my figure, which is super meaningless. At the end of my life, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm so glad I had abs, or I'm so glad I dieted so hard, or I'm so glad that I learned all these tips and tricks to lose so much weight. Like, no, that is not what I believe I'm going to be grateful for at the end of my life, but I can't help it. I'm also human. The herd mentality, whenever I have sweets in the house, I don't buy sweets like ice cream because ice cream melts too quickly in your mouth. I buy sweets like caramel chocolates and cheese balls because you can keep it in your mouth for a long time and it sits in your mouth and you still get like that high from sugar and salt and fat. It's better for your teeth, cavities, and it's better for your waist. You're getting the most out of the fat, sugar, salt as you can without like overindulging. Anyways, so Kristen Neff's work, you gotta read her book. It's kind of dry. If you're on Audible, I would read it at 1.5 speed because you can do that. I have this little flashcard that says, this is a moment of suffering. Every being has suffering in its life. It makes you feel not alone when you say that. You feel like that's a part of the world. Like we all suffer and like we don't have to be ashamed of our suffering. We could just let it connect us to everyone else because everyone else suffered. It's a really positive way to think about your suffering. And then the last thing is, how can I be kind to myself in this moment? And usually that's like the hardest thing for me because I'm Asian. Asian culture is mean to themselves. If I see that I am bloated or fat that day because I've eaten poorly and I got a little fluffy or whatever, I will hold my stomach and say like, this is a moment of suffering because I'm totally being mean to myself. And then I'll try to be kind to myself after and be like, everyone backslides. It's just life. You can't have a six pack all the time and your fat is not your soul. Just because you have fat doesn't mean you are fat. I just talk down the ledge to my self-critic that is being mean to myself, especially with that, my body image issues. But I do that with anything. So like if my baby's crying because she's in the car and she wants something, whatever, there's nothing I can do in the moment. And so what can I do to make myself feel better? In the moment, I'll be like, next time I'll bring a bottle. But in this moment, I can't do anything about it now. I think I just address myself like a friend, and that's how I've coped with this. I think when my kid's crying, I would say to myself, this sucks for you. I mean, I think I tell it to her too. This sucks for you. And I see your pain. And I would tell myself that too. I'd be like, this sucks for me too. And I see my pain too. And I hate hearing my baby cry. And I love her so much, I don't want her to be unhappy. And it just hurts me so much. Touch my heart, like so lame. But it's very comforting to like touch my heart. Even when I'm driving, I'll just touch my heart and I'll be like, I see you, man, this sucks. I wish I could shut her up too. Sometimes because I'm making a joke that is comforting, I'm laughing or like smiling in pain. So it's like, it's weird because you're like comforting yourself while you're in pain. You're taking on the role of the sufferer and the comforter. And that's really a whole new way to like think about your suffering. And it makes it more like three-dimensional. And I don't know, I would highly recommend trying that. I hope that those were enough tips. And if you're miserable, just know that I'm miserable too. And you got a friend on this side supporting you. You're doing the best you can, mom and dad. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please. Yeah, so anyways, I hope that helps you struggling parents out there, because this shit is next level, and anyone that tells you it's not next level is gaslighting you. Fucking gaslighting you. And you don't need friends like that, and you need to hang out with people that are more supportive and more compassionate. I hope you guys enjoyed. Mwah. See you next time. Bye.